Welcome back everybody, here is Young Grandpa. Today we'll speak about the worst tanks in Armored Warfare that I was able to play with or not, but some of them I just use for experience to skip over. Type is one of them. The Type 62 is the first one at tier 1. Yeah, I saw how some players play with this tank. They been easily killed and so on, and back then I said I don't want to play with this tank. So Type is the first one that you have it at tier 1. At tier 2 we have the M48 Patton. Now this tank's main issue it is that it's freaking tall. It's a very high profile tank even in real life, but also the upper plate and lower plate can be easily penetrated by some shells, but also by ATGMs, you know. And I didn't have some good matches. I barely done something in some matches, but this tank it's not one of the best ones. At tier 3 we have the Leopard 1. The Leopard 1 it's a tank mainly made for sniping, but in some situations you are top tier, so you have to play aggressive or at least to do something in that team. And mostly of the time you're gonna be dying once, twice, I don't know. And some players that play with this tank, if they've died, they don't come back. They don't pay to rejoin the match. Yeah, not no ability. Basically, yeah, it's a plain paper tank. Can be penetrated all over the chassis and so on. It's a thin armored tank. At tier 4 we have the Type 80-2 or T82 or the second or whatever. Same issue as the M48 Patton and the previous Leopard 1. Tall profile, not a good gun, no abilities, and yeah, the chassis doesn't help a lot. It's also fairly slow. It's not the fastest one, but it's fairly slow, and the tank it's basically annoying when you try to fight with him, you know. At tier 5 we have the OT-64 Cobra. This tank, even though it has the 80 squad, the 80 gems and the machine gun, it's still one of the most difficult AFVs in the game and tanks at tier 5 because the chassis, it's, if you guys remember when I was playing this in my old live streams, this tank was horrible to play with. 8x8 wheel drive vehicle, and oh man, sometimes if you want to kill someone you either go playing with your rear or with your front. That's the only way. This is basically a ship, a battleship on wheels. It's a very bad design and not one of the worst ones. At tier 6 we have the Type 96. Man, I had some matches in this tank that sometimes I was amazed, but in some matches it sucked big time. This tank took me a while to get rid of it. One of the worst grinds at tier 6 was with this tank, because mainly in matches you will end up fighting against other tanks with higher calibers or better guns or better armor, and this tank does not do so much damage. It has a good penetration, but not the best ones, and you easily get set on fire or blow up. So keep in mind playing with this tank very carefully. It's not it's not like a Russian tank, even though it has a Russian gun. The next one at tier 7, it isn't Rosomak. If you remember when I've done the video in the past, Rosomak was at roughly 500 rounds. Well, it got buffed and it has 2000 rounds now of ammo, so the tank is much better right now. But the worst one, it is the 9910. So same issue as the Type 96. This 9910, it's not the best tank. Man, I don't know how, but in some maps this portion of the upper plate and the lower plate can be penetrated. In some side scrapes, if you get some shells directly like this, if you sit like this and you get some shells, man, you're gonna be blown up quickly. This is a tank freaking annoying to play with. I remember when I'm playing on this map, Plague, just to go with grinding and so on, so I can get rid of it, because it was annoying to play with this tank. At tier 8, we have 3 contenders. So it isn't Harimau, which I hate playing with this tank. It's a fairly decent tank, but it isn't. So it isn't Harimau. It isn't Type 99. But even this one, it's freaking annoying and hard to play with, and it's quite shitty. It is the ST1, which I'm grinding nowadays. And this tank, it is annoying when I play with him every day in the evening when I have time. Due to the fact that it's an 8x8 but very sluggish. It's very similar to OT64, but the tank itself, it sucks big time. It's not about the gun, it's about the mobility and the chassis of the tank. It's freaking huge. It turns very slow. His ability doesn't help so much. You should have override or something like this, or camo or something. It doesn't help. And plus, I really wished it had a better engine or better mobility and so on, because it sucks in the mobility comparison. Because on a map, Dire Wolf, I retreat myself in a corner of the map, close to the base, towards the first base, yeah? And I remain stuck there, and I've lost the match by doing 0 damage, 0 kills, nothing. And to reset the base, the tank remained stuck on a pile of snow or something like this, on a small dune right in the middle of the tank. And I couldn't do nothing. My teammates were fighting, and this is not the only fight that I've ended like this. On some matches, if I remain suspended, I will just fire so that the AI can see me, so I can die, so I can rejoin the fight and do some damage. If the tank it remains, let's say, stuck on some matches, it really sucks. This tank is freaking annoying. I'm not planning to use free XP, but I'm keep on grinding as it is to get rid of it, because it doesn't deserve my free experience. Tier 9, we have the Leopard 2A6. The Leopard 2A6 is basically a tank that if you upgrade, nothing happens. So, when I purchased him, first match was with the stock armor, which is minus 30 millimeters and minus 65 millimeters from AP to hit. But the moment you upgrade, you get this thing on the tank, on the lip, let's put it like this, and on the turret, which is unimportant. Still doesn't make a difference. This lower plate of the tank, it's freaking easy to be damaged, very easy, and even through the tracks in this area, even through here. Some areas under the lower plate, if some thermobarics, ATGMs, heat ammo, HEP ammo, HESH ammo, PISH ammo, and so on. This tank, it doesn't doesn't survive. So you cannot play aggressive with him. It's just sniping. You just have to play with him like you play with a Stingray, a Thunderbolt, or a Buford. This tank, it is very annoying to play with, and it's very hard to play with at tier 9. Because at tier 9 you have T14 Armata, a lot of superiors, lieutenants, officers, whatever, and this tank doesn't hold sometimes some matches. So sometimes I end up dying twice or just once. And sometimes I even run out of ammo because I'm trying to hit the weak spots and I cannot penetrate the tank's armor. That's why I'm shooting with heat ammo, but it's just 940 millimeters penetration with 648 damage, but mostly of the time it's not even this damage. It's just 74, 80, up to 90, up to 100 damage sometimes if it's non-penetrational. So it sucks playing with this tank. And the last one, it is the T14 Armata. Man, when I purchased this tank, I really enjoyed playing with him, but lately with the new AI and the new setup of a match in the AI section, T14 Armata doesn't stand a chance against some other tanks. It helps his ability with the supercharged hard kill APS, but it's not as the soft kill APS, but leave the ability behind. The chassis of the tank, it's not the greatest one. Indeed, the turret is unmanned, but the lower plate, some areas in the sides, like where is this V, and also the rear of the tank, even in some areas, if you stand like this with the tank, it's someone above you, this area is very easily blown up because below the turret is the ammo. And I got myself sometimes blown up by some lieutenants, but it's also, well, the gun, it sucks a bit. Even though you upgrade it, it's not gonna be like the T14 142 or that one with the big gun, you know, the premium one. But this is not gonna change the fact that the tank's chassis, it sucks big time. Yeah, in the real life, the tank, it's freaking great, same as to some other tanks like the Leopard and type. But in this game, when it's virtually everything, you know, this tank, it doesn't stand a chance against some premium tanks, non-premium tanks, progressive or not, even against some tier 9s, 8 and even 7. This tank can be killed by even a tier 6, 7 and 8. It's sad to see this coming, but yeah, T14 is at tier 10. So guys, this was everything for today. Hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment below, what tank do you hate in the game playing with, and what tank do you enjoy playing with him. I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye bye.